The young father stood frozen at the checkout counter, his hands trembling as he placed a single pack of diapers on the conveyor belt. The cashier quietly announced the total, and the color drained from his face. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the last dollar he owned, along with a handful of coins. It still wasn't enough. Behind him, a tall, sharply dressed woman waited silently. She looked completely out of place in the crowded discount store. Her expensive coat, polished shoes, and distant expression suggested someone who had never worried about money a day in her life. But what happened next would change both of their lives forever. Before we begin, if you believe kindness can change lives and that everyone deserves a second chance, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Studio. Your support helps spread stories that remind us of the good still left in this world. The father's name was Everett Hale. At 32 years old, he looked much older. Stress had carved deep lines into his face, and exhaustion followed him everywhere. Just 2 years earlier, he had been living a normal life with his wife and newborn daughter. Then tragedy struck. His wife passed away unexpectedly after a sudden illness, leaving Everett alone to raise their baby girl, Rowan. The loss shattered him. Medical bills consumed their savings. Funeral expenses drained what little remained. Soon afterward, the company where he worked downsized, and Everett lost his job. Since then, every day had become a battle. He worked temporary construction jobs whenever he could find them. Some weeks he earned enough to pay rent. Other weeks he had to choose between food and electricity. But no matter how hard life became, he never stopped fighting for Rowan. That morning had started with a problem every parent fears. Rowan was almost out of diapers. Everett checked every drawer, every bag, and every corner of their tiny apartment, hoping to find one more. There was nothing left. He counted his money 3 times before leaving home. $1 and a few coins. As he pushed Rowan's stroller through the store, he prayed the diapers would be on sale. They weren't. Standing at the register, humiliation washed over him as he realized he couldn't afford even the most basic necessity for his daughter. Then the woman behind him stepped forward. Her name was Vivian Mercer. Most people recognized her from magazine covers and business interviews. She was the CEO of a billion-dollar technology company. Her success was legendary, but very few people knew the truth behind her carefully controlled public image. Despite her wealth, Vivian lived a lonely life. Years of chasing success had cost her nearly everything. Her marriage had ended years ago. She never had children. Her parents had passed away long before she became successful. She spent most evenings alone in a massive penthouse overlooking the city. The world admired her achievements, but nobody saw the emptiness she carried. As she watched Everett struggling to pay for the diapers, something inside her shifted. She noticed the way he kept glancing at his daughter. Not with frustration or anger, but with pure love and concern. She saw a father who was trying his best despite impossible circumstances. Without hesitation, she told the cashier she would purchase every package of diapers in the cart. Everett stared at her, shocked. The cashier looked equally surprised. Vivian paid for the diapers, then quietly added baby formula, wipes, groceries, and several other essentials. The total climbed far beyond what Everett could imagine. Tears filled his eyes. For a moment, he couldn't speak. What moved Vivian most wasn't his gratitude. It was the fact that even during his worst moment, he never asked for help. He only worried about his daughter. As they spoke briefly outside the store, Vivian learned more about his situation. She learned about Rowan. She learned about his wife. She learned about the endless struggle to stay afloat. And for reasons she couldn't fully explain, she couldn't stop thinking about them. That night, while sitting alone in her penthouse, she found herself remembering the look on Everett's face when he realized his daughter would be cared for. For the first time in years, a business deal wasn't occupying her thoughts. A week later, Vivian made a decision. Through one of her company contacts, she discovered Everett had experience in logistics and project coordination from his previous job. He was intelligent, hardworking, and eager to learn. She arranged an interview. Everett arrived wearing his only suit, carefully pressed despite its age. He expected nothing more than a chance. Instead, he impressed everyone. Within days, he received an offer for a stable position with benefits, healthcare, and a salary he hadn't dreamed possible. For the first time since his wife's passing, hope returned. Months passed. Everett worked tirelessly. He arrived early, stayed late when necessary, and quickly became one of the company's most respected employees. Rowan grew healthier and happier. Their apartment slowly transformed into a home again. Bills were paid on time. The refrigerator stayed full. And every night, Everett tucked his daughter into bed knowing she was safe. Meanwhile, something unexpected happened to Vivian. The more she interacted with Everett and Rowan, the less lonely she felt. She attended Rowan's birthday party. She listened to Everett share stories about fatherhood. She laughed more than she had in years. The walls she had built around herself slowly began to disappear. One afternoon, nearly a year after their first meeting, Vivian visited a community center her company sponsored. There she watched Everett volunteering with other struggling parents, helping them find resources and employment opportunities. The sight stopped her in her tracks. The man she had helped wasn't simply rebuilding his own life. He was helping others rebuild theirs. That evening, she realized something profound. The diapers she bought had never been the true gift. The true gift was the opportunity to change a life. And in doing so, she had changed her own. Years later, Everett often shared the story with Rowan as she grew older. He told her about the day a stranger stepped forward when he felt completely alone. He taught her that kindness doesn't require perfect timing, wealth, or recognition. Sometimes it begins with a single decision to care. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Kindness Studio. Your support helps these powerful stories reach people who may need hope today. Special request: comment below with one act of kindness someone showed you that you'll never forget. As Rowan looked up at the stars one evening, holding her father's hand, she asked if miracles were real. Everett smiled. He thought about a crowded store, a pack of diapers, and a lonely CEO who chose compassion over indifference. Then he looked at his daughter and realized the answer had been standing beside him all along. Sometimes miracles don't arrive with flashing lights or grand announcements. Sometimes they simply stand behind you in line, waiting for their chance to change a life forever.